When he was drunk, he confessed that he found me repulsive. My husband of 2 years and I were invited to my sister-in-law's birthday. We were having drinks and my husband was getting drunk. He doesn't usually drink, so he gets drunk easily. I love him when he's a little bit groggy because he's very shy otherwise, and he let loose a little. My sister-in-law calls herself incurably single, and she often laments about not meeting the one. She's very picky, and she's always pointing out the flaws of her dates. Well, she was doing that, and after complaining about her latest hookup, my husband interrupted her. He knew the guy in question apparently, and he disagreed with how she, the sister, perceived the guy. They were sparring for a little and everyone was laughing because my sister-in-law is a very funny lady, and so is my husband. Finally, my husband told her that she was very high maintenance and always concentrated on the negative things. He then said to take him for example. He found me repulsive the first night we spent together, but he stuck it out and was determined to know me more instead of throwing me away, because he's an adult now and needed to start acting like one. And now look at me. I'm the happiest man on earth. My sister-in-law laughed and told him that's not how she worked. I thought what he said was horrible. The most horrible thing anybody has said about me, and yet nobody of those who were listening in seemed to react at all. Like it was a totally normal thing to say, so I just said that I didn't know that's how he felt about me. I remember him going away on a trip the day after we slept together for the first time, and he wasn't available for 3 weeks. I started pondering. Was he actually away, or did he try to ghost me? On our way home, I asked him if he really went to that trip, and he smiled guilty and said no, his plan was actually to not see me again. But there was something strong that made him contact me again. And that he was lucky he did, because I turned out to be the love of his life. He was starting to fidget in his seat and asked me if something was wrong and asked, "Surely you're not hurt by what I said?" I told him that it was the most appalling thing I've ever heard, and to hear it coming from him. I haven't spoken to him since Saturday. I don't know if I want him anymore. We have a son together, 18 months, and a dog. I don't want to hurt our son. I'm trying to keep it together, but I just feel so numb. Will time heal something like this, or am I lying to myself? He says he's sorry, and he even cried when he saw me crying, and I only saw him crying once before when his dad passed away.
I think my boyfriend was in an incestuous relationship with his sister. I know this sounds ridiculous, but listen before you call me insane. I'm writing this because I can't sleep. I have dated him for a year. He's Italian and I am an American student in Rome. Looking back, there has been signs even early on. I took all of this as cultural at first. On one of our first dates, we were talking about our families and he showed me a picture of his sister and raved about her beauty. She is actually gorgeous, she's a classic Italian beauty and very chic. I was jealous of her then, but had no idea where this was going to go. I have only been around her a handful of times, but she has made it clear she does not approve of us dating. She's icy, distant, and hostile. She has said in front of me that he should be with an Italian. She speaks several languages, including English, but every time I've tried to talk to her in English, she replies in Italian, "You are in Italy, speak Italian." She once told me, "He'll be gone soon." My boyfriend is openly very affectionate with her. He dances with her and whispers in her ear, kisses her cheek and the side of her mouth, hugs her closely. Every time I've seen them together, he's brought her a nice gift. People here are generally affectionate, but everything combined is off. Once at a family dinner, I was helping his mom with the food and he and his sister went out on the patio. I looked out and she was sitting on his lap. What sister does that? I also have seen her caress his bare chest at the beach. This same time at the beach, he carried her in the water with her legs wrapped around his waist and his hands were practically on her ass. If they did this when they thought I couldn't see, what do they do when they're really alone? He's also gotten into a physical fight with her boyfriend, but I'm not sure what it was over. Earlier tonight my feeling got a lot worse. He never leaves his phone sitting around, but he did this time. He got a message from her and I looked over. She said, "My heart is yours, my king. And, we were made for each other." I left without telling him. He blew up my phone, but I have no idea what to say to him. This has been my best relationship, but this cannot be normal, can it? I am sick to my stomach and feel mortified thinking about this.
I offered to let my mom live with me, under the exact same terms I lived with her as a teen. I don't know why in God's good name my mom thought I would be the one to come to. We don't get along. I went to live with Dad at 16 because she told me she hated me and kicked me out. My older brother, the golden child, I know for a fact has a spare bedroom she could sleep in now that she's losing the house. My mom's situation is entirely her own fault as well, which makes this all the more annoying. She and my stepdad bought a 7-bedroom house 10 years ago, right after she left her job of 20 years to work at some stupid startup that was out of business only 3 years later. My stepdad spent the last years of his miserable life bedbound because he ignored every doctor telling him to stop shoving his face full of food at every waking moment of the day. So, he died 500 pounds and in misery. I was more than fine with this, by the way. Well, when he died early this year it pretty much drained the last of the money my moron of a mother had remaining, and now the bank's taking the house back. So, she shows up at my door for some reason. After mistreating me since I was a kid, and ignoring me unless she wanted something since she married that thankfully dead land whale. She had the nerve to ask to live with me. It's only me and my husband in our 2-bedroom house, sure. But that spare bedroom is his office, the basement's my art studio, and the couch in front of the fireplace is for our lovely cats. There is no room for the wicked hag anywhere in this house. But, I knew this opportunity would never come again. So, I told her she could live with us, if, and only if she decided to follow the house rules. All electronics were to be turned off by 6 p.m. If she was caught with any after that they would be taken away and sold at the next yard sale. Bedtime was 7:30, if I caught her up I would take away all of her clothing for the week. She may only shower for 5 minutes, once every 3 days all chores must be done the moment she wakes up. If I roll out of bed and they are not, she will not be getting meals for the day. She must make sure she is alert at all times. If I and hubby need something done, it is to be done at that moment, or else she will lose her bedding privileges for the night. She will be in charge of cooking one meal each day, that I choose. If it is not made to my liking she will not be allowed to join us and instead will eat the cheapest frozen meal available. I will be reading all her mail, text messages, and emails. I will give her the ones I deem acceptable communication under my roof. Her car will be my own personal travel car, she will also drive me wherever I want. She will still have to pay for gas. And, last but not least, if at any point she displeases me, I will be calling my brother up to pick her up from a nearby gas station. I will get to choose what she takes to put in a torn-up backpack before dropping her off without looking back. She called me a monster, told me these conditions were inhuman, and asked if I was insane. These were the exact conditions I lived under for years as a teenager. The exact conditions she tormented me with for years until she finally let me go live with the one parent that loved me. And these would be the conditions she would suffer under if she dared to ask me to home her worthless, joy-sucking soul. I don't know where she went after she stormed out of my house. My brother called me and told me I have the biggest balls in the family for the stunt I pulled. From the sounds of it though, none of the spawn want the brood mother to live with them. I hope.
The gift. It was drizzling outside. I drove the car through the occasional mist, climbing the winding roads up the high ranges. She didn't say anything. We knew it was our last journey together. The last time I would be taking her to her workplace. I remembered all the moments we had together from the moment I first met her. How happy we both were together. The great Indian wedding cliché just spoiled our relationship. She belonged to a different religion and our parents denied our insatiable love and desire to be together. My rage and grief reflected on the speedometer of the car. "Please, go slow," she said at last. When I had a sideways glance, I saw her rummaging in her bag. "Can you please pull over?" she asked. She looked sick. I stopped the car under a gomova tree which stood magnanimously by the roadside, shedding flowers all over the place, bathing the ground under it in blood red. I looked at her. "Why did you want me to stop?" She took out a bottle of imported perfume from her bag. Her favorite brand. "You may take this. Please don't forget me, I beg." I could see her eyes welling up. I didn't know what to say. I felt my heart drowning in icy water. "No," I said, "I can't take this, dear. This fragrance will remind me of you every day. I can't have that pain all days with you gone forever from my life." Her eyes started to spill even before I finished my words. That was the first time I ever saw her crying since I met her. I couldn't hold back my tears either, which found their way down silently. I took her hand in mine. "Please don't cry, darling." My words were broken. I held her hand tight, like I never ever wanted to let her go. And I kissed the back of her palm. My tears kissed her even before my lips could do. The drizzle and the fog that adhered on the windshields curtained us from the rest of the world. A few hours later, I was back at the same place, alone, after dropping her off at her workplace and leaving her forever. I had the perfume bottle clenched in my hand and her fragrance all around me. The best gift she ever gave me, E&D.